Well, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm here with Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, Chicago Mayor Lightfoot, Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle, Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown, founder of My Block, My Hood, My City, Jamal Cole, and Reverend Jeanette Wilson, as well as Reverend Jesse Jackson. And I thank all of them for joining us today. A grand jury in Louisville made a decision that doesn't come close to capturing the injustice of what we know to have happened on that tragic night in March when Breonna Taylor, an innocent young woman, was killed by law enforcement officers as she slept in her own home. The grand jury's lesser charge of a single officer does not address the loss of her life, not nearly. This is, to put it simply, a gross miscarriage of justice. I don't pretend to know the pain experienced by Black Americans, the pain of knowing that what happened to Breonna Taylor and Kenneth Walker could happen to you or your child. The pain of your government telling you that damaging a piece of property is a greater offense than taking a life. But I do know that the circumstances surrounding Breonna Taylor's death brings an overwhelming sense of rage, of passion, of sorrow to so many, including me. Our justice system has a long history of failing Black Americans, a history felt deeply today. These feelings are not new. I believe the current political moment, and especially the leadership in the White House, have allowed open racism to surge back into public demonstration and into our lives in a way that we haven't seen in this country for years. But to think racism and injustice are suddenly getting worse in this country is to be blind to the reality of our Black and brown communities. We have so much work to do, particularly over the last few months, from Chicago to Champaign, to Springfield, to Anna, to Rockford. We've seen an outpouring of peaceful demonstrations in our streets to call for an end to that entrenched injustice. They're calling out for true racial justice, where the law treats people of color as equals and delivers on the promise of justice. They're calling on us as leaders to address police misconduct that is too often fatal. Here in Illinois, we hear you and we stand with you. Peaceful expression of anger is powerful, and it's a powerful, long-standing tradition in this nation. And I am committed to ensuring that Illinois' residents have the right to protest and that they're protected in exercising that right. As governor, my priority is ensuring the safety and security of all of our residents, both of which require access to justice. To that end, I am working with local leaders across the state to ensure that everyone's First Amendment rights are protected and that our communities are made safe and secure. Should any city or town need assistance in ensuring the safety of area residents, visitors, small businesses, and those expressing their First Amendment rights, the state is ready to provide support. Activism is a vital part of our democracy, and it will take activism plus action to build ourselves into the state, into the nation that we must strive to become. I will continue to fight for justice and equity today and every day going forward. Before I turn the microphone over, I want to say to every Black woman, every Black mother, sister, to their brothers, to their husbands and their friends, that I will not rest until the state of Illinois and this country treat you with the respect and equality that is your most basic human right. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Her Honor, Mayor Lightfoot.
Thank you, Governor, and Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. Let me also recognize, in addition to the Governor, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle, Superintendent of Chicago Police David Brown, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Senior Jamal Cole, and Reverend Jeanette Wilson. Today we learned that a Kentucky state grand jury found that the officer responsible for killing Breonna Taylor, they found his actions were justified, and therefore that officer will not be subject to criminal charges. As we process this news, let's not forget Tamika Palmer, Breonna's mother. Nothing will repair the hole in her heart for the loss of her precious child. Too many mothers in Chicago know all too well the same pain. And we extend our condolences to Ms. Palmer and her entire family on this tragic loss. To me and many of you out there, this ruling is absolutely heartbreaking. And it leaves more questions than it answers. My fear is that it reinforces the deeply held notion that there are two sides of justice. As a lawyer, a former federal prosecutor, and a defense attorney, I know that our flawed system of criminal justice often feels unfair and can be brutal, particularly to people of color. Today is a reminder that we must keep fighting to bring equity and fairness to that flawed system. Over the past few months, Breonna's murder has been one of the many catalysts driving the historic and righteous protest for change that we've seen in our city and across our entire nation, shedding an even harsher light on the work we still need to do to create an America where Black people and people of color can live their lives safely and free from fear, and have every opportunity to exercise our potential and exercise our God-given right to simply live our lives in peace. Rulings like this one set us back and come as yet another challenge to the hard work and progress we have already made. But that doesn't mean we give up. It means we fight even harder against the systems of inequality and injustice designed to keep too many of us down. We will and we must continue to say her name. We will and we must continue to demand justice. And we will and we must do everything in our power to prevent any more names from being added to this role, like George Floyd, or closer to home, Rekia Boyd, Laquan McDonald, and too many others. I know that many, upon hearing of this verdict, will feel confusion and anger and disbelief. I know many of you will want to express yourselves in keeping with our city's long legacy of peaceful protest. I want you to know that I support you and will do everything in my power to protect you as you voice your righteous anger. As a result, our city will be exercising our neighborhood public safety plan to keep residents safe. As part of our plan, we will notify all Chicagoans of any anticipated disruptions to your lives, including traffic or public transportation. These measures will ensure the safety of large gatherings and our city's most heavily trafficked pedestrian areas and commercial corridors, and work to protect the well-being of residents, workers, businesses, and peaceful protesters. I have always been and will continue to be a fierce protector of the First Amendment, one of our most cherished rights as Americans. And as an elected official, it's my responsibility to listen to those demanding change. We have, we are, and we will. It's also equally important and my responsibility to make sure that we keep everyone safe and out of harm's way. As we move forward, I want you all to know that today's ruling will not distract us from continuing to pursue justice and righteous change. And the path to reaching that goal clearly is not a linear one. However, it is a path that I assure you we will walk together. It's a very tough moment for all of us. When a tragedy happens, particularly when a young life is lost, we all feel enormous pain. In this moment, each of us has an opportunity and really an obligation to reflect on how we will take in this news and what we will do with it. Breonna Taylor's family has consistently called for peace and urged people who are acting in her name to do so in a way that builds, not destroys, community. In honor of the family's request for peace, I urge all Chicagoans to join me tonight at 7 p.m. for a citywide moment of silence in honor of the life of Breonna Taylor. Come out on your front porch, stand in your yard or on your sidewalk or wherever you are, but please do, at 7 p.m. tonight, take a moment of silence and reflection in her memory. Afterward, I encourage you to say her name. And if you're so moved, share your expression on social media with the hashtag #SayHerName. This is a time for us as a city and as a state, as neighbors, as Chicagoans, to show our unity in our common humanity. The spirit of Breonna Taylor can and should live on in all of us. We have many more miles to travel on our journey toward a better and more perfect union, and we must rise to this occasion and be worthy of Breonna Taylor's legacy. Thank you, and now I welcome President Toni Preckwinkle of the Cook County Board to the podium.
Good afternoon. Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, Mayor Lightfoot, Superintendent Brown, Reverend Jackson, Reverend Wilson, Jamal Cole, and the first responders in this room, thank you for allowing me to be part of the program. I'd like to acknowledge our own head of emergency management and regional security, Bill Barnes, who's with us as well. We stand together as we struggle with the painful decision today regarding a life that was taken from us far too soon. Her name was Breonna Taylor. I'll say it again. Her name was Breonna Taylor. I'm a history teacher, and as I've said repeatedly, for the entirety of our nation's history, Black and brown people have been killed by the police with impunity. This is a profoundly disturbing reality. The names in the headlines since Breonna's murder: George Floyd, Daniel Prude, Jacob Blake, just to name a few, tell us there is much more work to be done. And while many of us, myself included, are profoundly disappointed, discouraged, confused, and angered by the decision today, we must keep focused on the task at hand, working peacefully for change. Now is not the time for violence. Our neighbors across the county and the city of Chicago should not bear the brunt of this decision. Our focus should remain on the systems that allowed this to happen in the first place. Today's decision is the result of a deeply flawed criminal justice system. The system must be reimagined if we are to hope for a brighter future. It's the only way we can begin to collectively heal from this and other tragedies involving the killing of our Black and brown people. So as we continue to process this decision, I ask everyone to stay focused. Protest if you are moved to do so. Peaceful protest is powerful. Peaceful protest is powerful. However, we cannot meet the violence of the police with violence of our own. It gives ammunition to those who do not share our concern for racial justice. Your voice, your words, your vote represent the path forward for change. And now I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. Please welcome her.
Good afternoon. I come before you this afternoon, not only as Lieutenant Governor, but I come to you as a Black woman, a Black mother, and a mother who has 4 Black daughters. For more than 190 days, we have joined the world in waiting for justice for Breonna Taylor and some semblance that our lives matter. But today, justice was denied. To death in her own home, one of the few places that she, as a Black woman, could find rest and peace after working as an EMT, being a devoted daughter and friend. That peace was shattered by fire from police, and her life was taken, a life of value and promise. She was 26 years old, the same age as my Cassidy. My heart ached for her mother and her loved ones then, and my heart aches for them now, as they are traumatized once again by a hollow decision. I literally cannot fathom the pain that her mother must feel right now. But as a mother who loves my daughters with all of my heart, I know that she feels that there is a void that probably can never be filled. So here we are today, and I ask, what if it were your daughter? The decision to only charge one officer with wanton endangerment is unacceptable. It is hurtful, it is confusing, and it further illustrates how Black people are often dehumanized and disenfranchised by the criminal justice system. Today's decision is yet one more example of why Black women often don't feel protected. What do we tell our children when they ask us why? How do we explain that an unarmed person can be killed by police and once again there is no full justice or consequences when they have Black skin like mine? What do we tell our children when they ask how many more? Well, we tell them that Black lives matter. We tell them that there are many of us who are working day in and day out to change the systems that are rooted in systemic racism so that each of them can grow up with full knowledge that their lives matter too. We tell them that it's okay to be angry because I am angry. We tell them it's okay to cry because I have cried. And we tell them it's okay to pray because as a woman of faith, sometimes my faith is all that I have to hold on to in a moment like this. And we tell them that the fight for justice continues, that it is not over, and that our young people are leading the way as they always have. It is the peaceful expressions of pain and frustration, the peaceful expressions of pain and frustration in moments like these that are shifting the atmosphere, and it is those same peaceful protests that will shatter the norms and push through real change and transformation. We will tell them that her Black life mattered and that she should be alive today. We will tell them that Breonna Taylor is any one of us, and that she is all of us. Breonna Taylor is me. Let us continue to say her name. I will now pass it on to Superintendent Brown.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Breonna Taylor's tragic death in Louisville, Kentucky can never be undone. The family lost a daughter, a sister, a niece. Others lost a beloved friend. Our nation has mourned Breonna's passing as well. Her smiling face has become a symbol of young lives cut short under the most jarring circumstances. Breonna's death must lead to change and more open dialogue about policing. As police, we need to continuously hold ourselves accountable. Chicago Police Department must follow the path of reform, ensuring that we are in compliance with our consent decree as a floor, not a ceiling. For those that want to speak out after today's ruling, Chicago Police Department officers will continue to protect your First Amendment right to protest. That's why we continuously look at our training and our policies to make sure they fit with the demands of our modern policing environment. I wish that night had turned out differently. I wish Breonna was still here smiling and pursuing her dreams. As a part of her legacy, we must honor her through continued improvement. We must listen to one another. This is our only path forward. I would like now to introduce Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend.
I want to thank the governor, the mayor, and those who spoken today for the words of encouragement. Breonna Taylor's name is not even in the indictment. Her name is not even in the indictment. We in Chicago know how to turn pain to power. First time was killed, led by the state's attorney. They ain't removed him out of office. Moved them out of office. Juan McDonald shot 16 times to cover up. Get mad, there's a new mayor, new state's attorney. We turn pain to power. A pattern here. It's George Floyd, it's Ahmaud Arbery, Daniel Prude, Jacob Blake, Rashad Brooks. Yesterday is just denied. All three police will be charged with cold-blooded murder. They conspired to kill her and killed her. Even the charge of murder, wanton destruction, some shooting in the air. No knock warrants are dangerous. And violent response in Chicago would be a mistake. It would be a commercial for Trump. We can't do that. And Dr. King was killed in '68. We got upset. We're in the following communities. Nixon turned into a commercial and used it for his campaign. We must be smart enough not to turn our anguish and anger into self-destruction. Give Trump a commercial. Turn pain to power. I urge you to demonstrate in your own way. There's power in massive nonviolent direct action. October the 1st, there'll be a massive day of voting in Illinois. The mail goes out the 24th of this month. We have a massive demonstration downtown October 1st of voting that day. We drop a mail in the box, stand in line. And Mandela can stand in line 27 years. Dr. King had died by a week of standing in line on October 1st. Let's make a statement that day. I want to thank you, Mr. Governor, for your challenging words, frankly, as a mayor, as governor. You, Madam Mayor. whatever we can do to help in the process. We cannot stop marching till the violence stops. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.